morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. I'm joined by Mike Smith, who's down in rainy Florida. It's 45 degrees when I was coming over here, going to 73. And it's sunny, 69 on Tuesday, 72 on Wednesday, back down to 67 on Thursday, Friday 79, and we're looking at rain on Thursday and Friday. So, yeah, Eileen, you think that applies to you, that you're automatically a Democrat because you're elected to local office?
Well, I'm registered as a Democrat.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that I think we've talked about this before on the show, like how a lot of just neutral Democrats are more like Republicans today, right? And I don't know. I don't know how it works. I just try to stick to voting my what I truly feel passionate about. I won't change my vote no matter what. If I feel very strongly about something, I wouldn't.
Okay. Hi, Fru. How's it going?
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday.
Yeah.
Good morning. Where were all those pictures that you sent from May Day?
Huh?
Where were those pictures, like the text message pictures you had sent May Day?
Oh, they're from Russia. I was just showing that young leader in Africa who stood directly behind Putin. That I think the West is trying to take him out because of what he's bringing to that area.
Oh.
That was just the reason why I showed him that. He stood directly, he's the youngest president in the world, 36 years old, ever since he took power. His little country, landlocked country, has developed more than any other country in Africa for 2 years. Because they kicked the French out, everything, they focus on their own development. And it looks like the West, they want to take it. They have had 20 attempts to assassinate him in 2 years.
Wow.
So you should know that he's doing something over there. But you don't hear him. You don't hear him in the Western media. They don't talk about him. They always talk about the junta.
So the ICE officials arrested a Tufts PhD student, Rumisa Ozturk. And there's been some question as to whether or not it was a righteous detention. Ozturk's visa was recently revoked, and she was later, the press said abducted, I would say arrested by ICE, whisked out of Massachusetts to Vermont and then down to Louisiana. But now she's out on bail due to a federal judge. And she was one of 4 students who wrote an op-ed on the campus newspaper, the Tufts Daily, last year, criticizing the university's response to student activists demanding that Tufts acknowledge the Palestinian genocide, disclose its investments, and divest from companies with ties to Israel. So, there's a foreign student here in the U.S. agitating on a foreign policy issue. How much leeway should we give to foreigners for this kind of activity? Go ahead, John.
It's a free country.
Yes.
It's a free country. You can say whatever I can say anything I want and get away with it. There are a few magical words you can't use, but other than that, you can say whatever you want. If you get a platform, somebody builds a platform or you build your own platform, and you got a say, it's a free country. You got free speech, citizen or non-citizen. And if you say, well, citizens don't have rights, then how is it Mercedes-Benz is able to have commercials on television? So only rich people can have speech. So everybody in this country, it's free speech. You couldn't pull this malarkey in Germany, France, Russia. You couldn't pull this at all. If you're not a citizen of that country, you get nothing. No microphone, no nothing. America is different.
John, that's not entirely true.
Okay, give me your thoughts.
Because I know that when Kathy, all the forms we had to fill out and what you had to agree to for her to get her green card here, that's just to have a green card. That's not somebody that's here, you know, I'm not sure exactly everything on a student visa or whatever, but I'm sure it's similar. That there's a lot of questions in there. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. You agree to this. They ask you if you're going to if you're part of certain groups. So there's some, and I don't remember every question, but there was over 100 of them to get that green card. So if you're here on any kind of visa or student visa or green card, there are some you've agreed to certain things you're not going to do.
I agree with what you're saying, but there are laws in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in the city of Lowell, that wouldn't hold up in federal court. So you can say this agency called immigration, or whoever gives the green cards, if they have their little Gestapo out there that you better do this and you better do that, it won't hold up in a federal court. Free speech is free speech, Mike. That's my takeaway. I'll give you.
Yeah, well, the half-life of a memory, political memory in the United States is probably about 90 days. But Fru, do you remember going through the process where were they restricting people who were like communists or National Socialists, anything like that?
Cliff, I don't think I'm the right person to speak about that, but what I would like to say is education, within the campus of education, there is freedom of speech. And that is an incubator where ideas come in. And if we don't want students to be able to exercise their freedom of express within an institution, within a campus, then are we talking about the McCarthy era? Are we talking, if a country like that in Soviet Union or in Africa does that, do we stand a moral ground to talk about? Because sometimes we spin things in our own favor to justify things that are unjustifiable just for reasons. If we say freedom of speech and we talk about it, if you listen to what was written and also listen to Senator Bernie Sanders' speech on the floor of the Senate, what difference does that make with what he said, which is his own opinion and factual that we all see, and turn a blind eye, will not look at it that way? And what is the essence of a free speech? Is it just because it must be something that favors us? And if someone brings his own opinion, his or her own opinion may not be yours. But that is free speech, and that is how a country develops and go ahead. If you do it in that way, me sometimes speaking on this forum, I seem to see that there are people, because of their own idea or because I differ from them, they want to intentionally shut me down, because that's how they control the public. By looking towards a chain and manipulating it, when you say something that's out of order from how they frame it, they give you names. And people are afraid to You speak up.
Well, I mean, this thing with with Tufts University, I understand about the student councils. They can voice their opinions. I don't have any issue. They can voice all the opinions they want. But they have to understand that the administration at the university doesn't have to implement what they want, because they're attending the university. They're not running the university, and they have choices. People can decide not to attend that college or university because they don't like the way they run things. Now, hopefully with free speech, as you're saying, Fru, they can get people to change their ideas and move forward with what they're talking about. But unfortunately, that doesn't always happen. But if enough people are doing that, then that pressure does tend to make change.
I agree with you, Mike, but I'm agreeing with you. But I'm saying that America is the beacon and an incubator of new ideas that spread around the world because of these international students. If America were closed only to Americans, America will not be as developed as it is. And what some Americans just think is they vilify it, and out of ignorance. And equally, if you see the greatest invention that occurred in this blessed country is because of foreigners who have come here and adopted this country like their beloved country. Because someone who becomes an American citizen by choice is a big decision than someone who is born American and you take it for granted. So that person who becomes an American citizen by choice, he has forgone everything and willing to put his life to stand on the country that he, by his own choice, has chosen to defend and serve. And sometimes people don't really understand that.
But no, I agree with you, Fru, because we've had this discussion before that the problem is a lot of people in the United States think every other place is like us. And I agree we need people to come in with different ideas, and we need people from other countries to come here. And I think that we should, I don't know how we can do it, but we need Americans, U.S. citizens, to travel outside the United States to other countries and meet those people to realize how lucky they are. And I say that almost every day, how lucky I am to have been born in the United States. You know, because people from other countries, I've been to other countries and seen what goes on, and we're very lucky to be here.
So, going to Columbia University for a minute, they just had a case where there were, 80 students went into the library and shut the library down. Students were trying to study for finals, and these demonstrators went in and disrupted all that activity. And the police of Columbia did something different this time. They wouldn't let the demonstrators back out, and they arrested some of them. How far should demonstrators be allowed to go? Should they be allowed to disrupt the learning experience of their fellow students?
Well, Cliff, if they break into the facility, they break into your house, some side of America wants them to be able to remain there until a hearing is held. And a judge says, no, you can't stay there. And they're pulling that same stunt with the people that the president's trying to kick out of the country. Well, we know you're here illegally, but we're going to give you a hearing. The Supreme Court's got to act quickly on this. Do these people get a hearing or don't they get a hearing? And if they do get a hearing, it's ridiculous, because if somebody breaks into your house, and I used this example last week and I love it, somebody breaks into your house, you call the cops. Hey, I got somebody in my house, they broke in, and the cops will say, well, you're gonna have to duke it out in court because it's a civil matter, nothing we can do about it. they're not trespassing. They're going to say that they belong there and it's their house. So they have a right to a hearing, nothing we can do about it. Good luck in court. Supreme Court has got to act on this soon.
I mean, even though people can come onto a campus like Columbia, people can come on there. You can't just go in there and disrupt things. You
So
can't.
you say, so they do.
I know that they do. That doesn't mean that it's right or legal what they're doing. If they're not students there, especially if they're not students in the university, they're trespassing. They don't have a right to do whatever they want on private property. Because that is, people forget, even though people could come on there. I mean, people could walk across the front of my lawn, and technically it's trespassing. That's true. But they can't come up and smash my window and do whatever they want. And by closing down the library, disrupted and affected people who are trying to be students there and study. And that, they just can't do anything they want.
Mike, you make good points, but we have a much more educated general public than we've ever had that is enabled to dive into these laws and find loopholes they can drive through. And this is a loophole that they're utilizing for the first time. The loophole's always been there. It's just no one's ever driven an 18-wheeler through that loophole, but they are today.
Well, but I equally think that there's a difference between peaceful demonstration and violent demonstration. When you are demonstrating for a cause, if you look at the civil rights demonstration, these were peaceful people that were being demonstrated,
Wrong
and
century.
horses and dogs were sent at them.
Wrong
That
century.
is what they talk about.
Fru, you got the wrong century, okay?
No, he's using a good example.
This is
No, John,
Hey,
John.
this is exactly what I am saying.
I
That
think you're wrong.
when you
I think
have
you're
your own ideology, you want to shift it for me to think like you. It is different. We come from different background and we look things differently.
So,
and
Fru,
if you respect me
so
to be
Fru,
on
you're
this
saying
forum,
it's
and
okay.
you should be able to listen to me as I listen to you.
It's okay for me to take my friends into your house and protest, and you can't kick me out. Is that what you're saying?
No.
You didn't pay attention.
I usually
I told
don't.
you that peaceful demonstration is peaceful demonstration. When it becomes violent, it goes beyond what was meant to send that message. And I give a scenario. When you look at the civil rights movement in the 60s and coming up, they were peacefully demonstrated, but there were horses and dogs sent against them. There was no violence, and the message was clear. So is that bad for me to point that out? Or what is it that you want me not to figure out?
Cliff referenced inside Columbia University. Columbia University is a not-for-profit. I don't care what they're a separate entity. People went inside the building and protested. That's why I used the example. Is it okay for me and my friends to peacefully protest inside your house?
But
I say no.
Did you listen to what I said? Say peaceful demonstration. When once it becomes something destructive, that you are preventing someone from studying who is not there, that is violent, which is not acceptable. You need to pay attention before you respond.
Let me back the bus up for the peaceful demonstrations you were talking about in 1960. I don't think they happened inside buildings. Now, Cliff will be quick to correct me, but today, 2025, for people to peacefully protest in your house, is that okay? That's my question, Fru. Is it okay for me and my friends to peacefully protest inside your house?
As long as I open the door for them to enter in my house, I have given them authority to do that. But when it becomes violence, that's when I call the police.
I understand. Thank you.
I think a better question is, what if they are demonstrating down at the Pollard Memorial Library? Or they're down at the Songus Arena and they demonstrate while there's other activities going on?
I think the Songus Arena people have a right to kick them out.
Is that not the same thing, Cliff? So long as they are peaceful, they are not harming anyone.
Yeah.
They are just pointing some of the ills that they to bring attention, so that the government, which if the government was ignorant or blind against them, they hold their placards. They are just saying that these are our grievances. We need to be listened to and we need to be heard. Isn't that what they call peaceful demonstration?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, as long as they, that's good, because that's partially what our country is founded on. But, for example, you said is the arena there, Cliff. If they're protesting outside the arena for whatever reason they're protesting for, and they're preventing people from attending that activity, then that's not peaceful anymore. So they can voice their opinion, but they can't impinge upon or prevent other people from doing their activities also. So as long as that happens, that they're not interfering with other people, say, attending that activity, then that's fine, because you're allowed to do that. The issues we keep running into is, with some of these protests and demonstrations is, are they preventing other people from continuing on with the activities they were planning on doing? And that's the big question, why everybody's up in arms about this.
And on that note, Mike, another question to ask. Are there instigators outside that are within, that are pushing them to react in their own defense so that they can say that they are violent? But we would not see it that way. But there are people who are sent personally to provoke, to incite, so that they use that as an evidence to sabotage whatever peaceful means is there within.
No, I agree with you, Fru. There are people in there, they have a different agenda. And that's the issue. You know, that like you're seeing some of these protests happening on campuses, and the people involved with that are not even students at that university or college. No, I agree with you, Fru, that there are people there, they got their own agenda.
Mike, I got
They're
4
trying to-
comments, then we'll go back to Fru. How about when they peacefully protest on Route 93, is that okay? Because it happened. The youth of America are spoiled, entitled kids who whine and complain till they get what they want. Look how they peacefully protest. Another way to shut down free speech is to declare a pandemic and force masks on the public. Thank you for your comments. Back to you, Cliff. I gotta go let Belinda in.
We see it's not just the case of protests about Gaza, Palestine, and the Middle East, but this is also an issue for anti-abortion protesters. The government has passed laws limiting how close protesters can be to abortion facilities. But that's free speech also, isn't it, protesting abortions?
So there were some rules made for that. That we have rules all over the place, New York City, different places. You can only protest in certain areas. You can't shut traffic down because that's unsafe. So they have rules on where you can protest for the safety of the other people.
Fru, got any last thoughts on this?
Well, I agree with Mike. What Mike has said, I totally agree with. But what I will just mention before I sign off is where I heard something about economic issues, and I was hearing an interview, an international interview that involved the president of Ghana, and then they were asking what the actions of President Trump, will it be good for Africa? He said outside world had imposed this artificial movement of goods within Africa, and everything was trading from outside to Africa. But right, what they are doing now, they are opening boundaries. Most African countries now, they don't need any passports of travel, and that would be free movement of goods and services and movement of economic vitality. That is very good. And I really think you agree with him that, necessity is the mother of invention. So this is actually opening opportunities for Africans to be able to develop and depend on self than depending on Europe and just being the source of raw materials.
So what you're saying, Fru, is basically they're putting kind of an African Union, just like the European Union of all the countries. They're doing the same thing in Africa.
You're very right, Mike, but that has always existed, but controlled by Europe and the West.
Ah, okay.
But right now, they are taking the bull by the horn now and saying that we Africans, because then before they had to do anything, had to go from Cameroon to Niger or to any place, it has to go through France before it comes back into Africa. But people did not know that. Imagine you are next door, like you are in the state of New Hampshire. To come to Massachusetts, you have to get a passport, and the goods that will be sent from Cameroon, they cannot be processed in Cameroon. They have to go out to France and be processed there before they come back to Cameroon.
That's a screwy system.
Well, it's what Fru is saying is it's the only people that get the advantage out of it is France.
It's Europe, European country, Germany, all this and that, they dependent on their colonies.
I'm using France because you use France as an example, but
Yes.
yes, I understand.
And I think let's look at it very well. In the next 10 years, you will see the economy in Europe.
Okay, I wanted to introduce our guest who is a candidate before Fru has to head off to work. So this is Belinda Duran, who lives just up the street from me. If you're driving out of the Belvedere, she's the one with the display by the driveway that looks to me like about a half a dozen kids dancing.
I love that description. Thank you, Cliff.
So Belinda, do you know Fru?
I do, yes, quite well. Hi,
Belinda,
Fru.
go,
How are you?
Belinda, go, Belinda.
Thank you. Good to see you,
And
Fru.
let me thank you very much for your community service. You are always very active everywhere.
Thank you.
So, so I wanted to have that chance. Belinda, you're like me, you're a blow-in, right?
Well, it's funny. I hate that term, but that's right. I'm not from.
When I use when
yeah.
the producer uses the term, I fully agree that I'm a blow-in. I'm here to blow things up.
I got it. Thank you.
The proper response is, I got here as quick as I could.
I know. I've heard that from you, John. Well, it's funny because some people use the term Lowellian to mean you've been here for multiple generations, and that's certainly
That'd be
not.
me. That'd be me.
Okay, so that's John. But some people use the term blow-in or blow-ellian as a pejorative, but I tend to use the term Lowvellian. So somebody who loves Lowell and chooses to live here, which is really all of us, but I like that play on words.
So we're going to go to break, and we'll be right back. Thanks.
Okay.